Good evening, everybody. It's such a pleasure to be with you all. I want to thank you for being here, and I want to thank the many folks who have made tonight's bill signing possible. And as we start the process, I'm going to hand it off to Representative Green to get us kicked off.
Thank you, Governor. My name is Representative Dudley Green. I represent District 85 in the North Carolina House of Representatives, which is Avery, Mitchell, Yancey, and McDowell counties. It is an honor and a privilege to be here tonight, and we are excited to get this piece of legislation onto the governor's desk. Just let me say that how much we appreciate the support from all through North Carolina and from both chambers of the General Assembly, and particularly leadership in both the House and the Senate chambers in bringing this bill about so quickly. We realized as we came back into session this year that relief from Hurricane Helene was a top priority in the General Assembly. And Mr. Speaker, Mr. Berger, appreciate that being a priority for you. And Governor, thank you for your commitment in trying to use these dollars. I know you've made several trips up there. You've got a personal interest that has been evident in trying to help get this recovery done, and we have every faith and trust that you're going to be using these dollars as efficiently and effectively as we can to meet the many needs that our district and our region has in Western North Carolina, and we thank you for that. Thank you. So, and with that, I'll turn the microphone over to Senator Corbin.
Thanks, sir. Thank you, Representative Green. Also want to thank the governor for having us here tonight, and I serve as the chair of the Recovery Committee for the governor, and glad to serve in that role along with Mayor Manheimer from Asheville. And I just want to thank my colleagues behind me in both the House and the Senate for a lot of hard work. This is the largest recovery bill that's ever been passed. This is about $800 million on top of what we've already done for this. It's historic. And we've worked together, Governor, in a bipartisan way to do this. And I too appreciate the governor's commitment to cleaning up and helping Western North Carolina recover from this terrible disaster. And we stand here as a bipartisan group to help do that. And Governor, we appreciate you for having us here tonight. I'm going to introduce one of my colleagues from Asheville. She represents the greater Asheville area, and that would be Senator Julie Mayfield. Julie.
Thank you, Senator Corbin. I am Julie Mayfield. I represent Senate District 49, which is the city of Asheville and much of Buncombe County. And I will add my echo the thanks. The bipartisan nature of this work from the very beginning has really been magnificent. And it's both chambers, all parties, leadership in both places. Really, it is, you know, we think in Western North Carolina, we often feel forgotten. we talk about how most people in the state thinks kind of the state ends at Charlotte, maybe Hickory, but certainly it doesn't go beyond that. And we now know that Western North Carolina is cemented in the minds of our state's leaders, of our legislative colleagues, and of people all across the state. And I'm very grateful for that. And Governor, I know the first thing you did after your election was come to Asheville and issue some executive orders, and we were grateful for that. And I just think it's fitting that your first bill is also a product of all the work that has gone in to providing Western North Carolina relief. So thank you for that. And with that, I will introduce our new Speaker of the House, Speaker Hall.
Well, good evening. Honored to be here tonight. Thank you, Governor, for having us on such a quick turnaround. I think it is important to have the folks who worked on the bill here tonight with the Governor because it's a very large bill with a lot of money in it that goes to help those folks in need. You know, the number one priority we have at the General Assembly this session is Hurricane Helene recovery, and it's going to stay that way until we fix the problem. We work with both the House and the Senate in a bipartisan way to get the bill done, but also with the governor to get a bill done. And it really took some compromises between the House, Senate, and the governor, and the product in a relatively quick turnaround is what you see today, another over $500 million going to Hurricane Helene recovery for Western North Carolina. This is the fourth bill we've passed on Helene recovery. It's not the last one. We're passing this one today. It's going into law. Tomorrow, we'll begin working on the next round of relief for Helene because it's going to be a long recovery with incredible devastation in Western North Carolina. But the folks from that part of the world where I'm from need to know that this body, and I believe this governor's office also, is committed to doing everything we can to get those folks back in their home. And at the same time, this bill deals with some issues in eastern North Carolina as well, putting folks back in homes who have been out of their homes now for almost a decade. And this should fix that problem fully. I think in a sign of good faith, we committed to the governor's ask on that on eastern North Carolina storm relief. He and I have talked about these storm reliefs quite a bit, and I have to commend him for his work on this, along with my colleagues in the General Assembly for both eastern and western hurricane relief. So we're not done. We'll begin working on the next bill now. I hope this is the first of many bill signings. We all get to come and spend some time with you on a number of issues. So with that, Governor Stein, thanks for having us.
Speaker, I'll thank you for those kind words. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your conference committee. President Pro Tem Berger isn't here, but Senator Heiss and other senators are here, Senator Corbin. This was truly a team effort, and we are all the beneficiaries from their good work. There are members of the Western delegation here. There are members of the Governor's Advisory Committee on Relief for Western North Carolina. You'll see a number of law enforcement representatives here as well. These are folks, the folks out west didn't have time to come down the mountain, but these are law enforcement leaders in the Piedmont and in the east who, after the storm, sent their folks out west to help their neighbors. And so let's thank these leaders in law enforcement. We also have Farm Bureau President Sean Harding. As you all know, many farms in Western North Carolina really took it on the chin, losing their crops, having their soil washed down the river. The recovery is going to be long and hard. We have representation from our state agricultural department. Commissioner couldn't be here, but he's got a big chunk of this pie, and we got to work hard to make sure that those funds help our agricultural folks, our farmers out west. There are members from the GROW North Carolina team, GROW NC. That's the Governor's Recovery Office for Western North Carolina, including the head, Matt Calabria. Where's Matt? Right there, good. I told Matt, I was like, all right, get to work. These guys, they filled the coffers, or at least started filling the coffers, and now we got to get to work. My team will tell you there are 4 values that drive the work we do in Western North Carolina recovery. It's urgency, focus, transparency, and accountability. And urgency is the most important. We've got to do everything we can to get these monies in Western North Carolina where they can make a difference in people's lives. And as Representative Green said, we have to spend this money as effectively as we possibly can. We want every dollar to have a maximum impact on people's lives out west. Urgency is driving us so much that when these guys passed this bill this afternoon, I asked them, could they come over tonight? I didn't want to wait till tomorrow to sign this bill because it's that important. First day, the first series of executive orders I signed dealt with Hurricane Helene. First trip was, as Senator Mayfield said, out to Asheville. The first order of business that begins every daily meeting and every cabinet meeting I have is on the agenda, what is the status of Hurricane Helene relief? So I am incredibly proud that the first bill I will sign as governor is this Hurricane Helene relief package. This bill shows that when we work together, we can get really good things done for the people of this state. It represents a promising start on getting aid out west. The money is going to help towns rebuild infrastructure necessary for business. It will help fund home reconstruction. It will help repair private roads and bridges. It will support our farmers, as I said, rehabilitate their soil and get compensation for the lost crops. And I am also grateful, as the speaker noted, that the bill will include funds over $200 million to help the folks in eastern North Carolina still without permanent housing after Hurricanes Florence and Matthew. It will help us to finish the job. I am looking forward to completing that critical mission. As the speaker said, this is the first instance. This is what the bill number is. Hurricane Relief number 1, I think, is what the bill actually is titled. And we are also going to get right back to work. I'm going to get with my cabinet, I'm going to get with the budget team, and we're going to come up with another proposal to share with the legislature as they wrestle with what we need to do next to make sure that we're doing everything we can to help people in Western North Carolina get back up on their feet. We still have work to do. There are small businesses out west that are truly struggling to keep their doors open, struggling to keep their employees hired. We need to make sure that they keep people on the job and they keep generating revenue to support local governments and local communities. We still need to invest in affordable housing because too many renters have lost their home. Home reconstruction helps you if you own your home, but not everybody owns their own home. A lot of folks are renters, and they need a place to live as well. We have to reduce the risk of wildfires, particularly as the summer starts to come. We need to invest in resiliency, whether that's how to deal with flooding or downed power lines or any other way to make sure that if the next storm comes, we are better prepared to handle it. So we will be sending a second Helene recovery package to the legislature in the coming weeks. We also collectively have to do our work with the federal government. The scale of this storm is beyond our understanding, $60 billion. It is by far the largest storm this state has ever had to face, and there's not $60 billion in the state coffers to pay for this. We'll never be made whole, but the only entity that can truly help us make a meaningful impact on recovery is our federal government. We need more funding from Washington, and I will make that case, as I have been making that case, that we need more appropriations. We also need for FEMA to agree with a 100% cost recovery for debris removal for another 6 months. It expires in 8 days, the 100% match. We need to make sure that that is extended because there is so much more debris left to be collected. I want to thank the legislators who worked so hard to get this into law. But fundamentally, I want to thank the people of Western North Carolina for their strength, their generosity, their resilience. You all have time and again shown what it means to be North Carolina strong, and it is for you and because of you that I'm honored to sign this bill into law. It is now law. And to the media, if you have questions for any of the speakers, we will be happy to address them. Yes, Brian.
This is for Governor Stein, Speaker Hall. Could you just talk about how much has been put so far toward the $60 billion? I know about $1.4 billion state, how much federal, so just to give people an understanding of what is still missing.
It's really complicated because the federal government has appropriated funds, but it hasn't allocated funds. And even when it has allocated funds, it has not distributed the funds. So there was a Hurricane Helene relief package, a general disaster recovery package in late December. We estimate that the state's share is anywhere between $13 to $15 billion from that package, but we just don't know because the federal government has not allocated it. 2 allocations have been made. One is from HUD for CDBG DR, that's Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery. The state's share is $1.62 billion. We have written our action plan, which you have to submit, and then to get approved before the money will come. We will be submitting that action plan, if not the fastest of any state in history, among the fastest. We also have learned that the EPA has allocated about $700 million to North Carolina for water and sewer. That's going to be a lengthy process before the funds actually come here. There are more funds from the Federal Highway Administration. We don't know exactly what our total dollar amount is going to be. There are funds from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. We don't know yet exactly how much money that's going to be. So part of our request to the federal government, our congressional delegation, is two things. I put in a $19 billion request last month. Of that $19 billion, $11.5 billion is new money that we're requesting. $7.5 billion is simply allocations, our state's fair share of money that has already been appropriated. So that's the request of the federal government. And as the state has, and I'll let the speaker speak to this, the state has appropriated money. A lot of them were for programs that can't yet be expended. Some of them can be expended, and those programs are moving forward. So I'll let the speaker take a stab at that one.
And I think Governor Stein covered the general overview pretty well, the difficulty in calculating the federal money that's actually been sent versus what we think we're going to end up getting. What I'll tell you is, again, the scope of the damage in Western North Carolina is so great that we truly don't know how many homes were actually damaged. And that's just one data point when you think about not just homes that were damaged, but folks who were otherwise displaced, who lost their jobs, folks who've moved out of the area because of that. And so a big part of this is getting our arms around that issue. And so what this bill seeks to do is get at what we can now and get the folks who we can back in their homes as quickly as possible. But there's no question we have to have the federal support to get the job done at the end of the day. I want to thank our federal congressional delegation, our U.S. senators, and our folks in the U.S. House, and thank President Trump. President Trump's first visit after he was sworn in out of D.C. was to Western North Carolina, where several of my colleagues behind me and the governor were able to meet with the president that day, and he showed his support for Western North Carolina. I know our federal delegation is working very hard to make sure we have the funds that we need. I was just talking to Congresswoman Fox before I came over here tonight, and so they're pushing very hard. It's a bit more difficult to get budgets passed, or whatever they call them now, a continuing resolution, but or reconciliation process. But I know that the North Carolina delegation and really the folks in both parties, in the House and the Senate, they understand that we've got to have the federal help ultimately to get this done. And so we're going to continue to work very hard with them. Several of us have been to D.C. to meet with them. Senator Berger and I went up there and met with not only our delegation, but we met with some of the appropriations chairs in the U.S. House. And I know Governor Stein's been to D.C. as well on a number of occasions to lobby for federal funding to make sure that we get this issue fixed. So it's going to be a partnership not only between the House, Senate, and the governor's office here, but between those entities and Congress.
Yes.
You said urgency is the most important part of this for you. Can you give us a sense over the next couple of days, couple of weeks, couple of months, what that urgency will look like and how you're going to be making sure this money actually makes it to the people?
So now that part of the money is for home reconstruction. We have to develop that program, and my team, in anticipation of this bill becoming law, has been in the process. We've already sent out procurements for vendors to submit so that we can select different vendors who can go out there and actually put hammers on nails. So we are doing that work. We hope to have those contracts done by the summertime so that the work can begin before the summer is over. Same thing with private roads and bridges. That's a more complicated matter because you not only need to have a construction firm, you have to have an engineering firm to design the bridge. We have those procurements out so that we can get them hired and get them working as quickly as possible. I know everyone here wants things to get back to normal as quickly as possible. And what I am certain about is that we'll never be fast enough for what people deserve. And we just want to do the fastest we possibly can because that they deserve no less than our full effort.
We have time for one more question. I'm going to let Tom go.
Tom from ABC 11, I know you mentioned this is just the beginning of
No, I think that one thing I've learned is everything happens at the same time. I also submitted my budget today for the general fund, and I worked the folks at the state management, budget and management so hard. We haven't had an opportunity to talk about round two. So I'm going to let them sleep tonight because they worked hard to get that budget done, and then we're going to immediately get back to work, and we will come up with a number and a recommendation for these guys to consider. Thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you. And thank everyone here for everything you did.